Thank you. When I was young, I was easily outgoing. Always wanted to be with people and going places, and most importantly, trying to make friends. When I moved out to San Pedro, I made a few friends and got really along with them. Always wanted to be with them. But as I grew up, I started getting tired. Not physically, not emotionally, but socially. As years passed, I started learning about personality and how it defines human and identity. Over time, through the reservation I was experiencing and withdrawal, I learned that I was an introvert. First of all, what's an introvert? This is at least how I define introversion. Introversion is a term that defines someone as reserved, thoughtful, and being closer to themselves more than to others. According to research released in 2023, one third of the United States of America is introverted. Despite this large scale of introverts, there were many misconceptions about them, especially calling them shy. Shyness is an emotion, whereas introversion is a personality type. According to best-selling author of Quiet, Susan Cain, shyness is about the fear of social judgment. On the other hand, introverts have a preference for a quiet, more minimally stimulating environment. Introversion is not a form of shyness, rather a way on how we perceive external stimuli. Allow me to simplify. Shy people are like, oh no, people, while introverts are like, ew, people, if you get what I mean. When I'm at big events like participating in a musical or singing or even giving a talk such as this, I don't really feel scared of doing it. I just do it because I'm passionate about it. I'm not shy about this or even being here. That doesn't mean I am an extrovert, which is someone that has a greater response to external stimuli. If we're so quiet as the world says, then why are we called antisocial? Okay, first of all, what the scallop? Just because someone is not as shy as you thought they were doesn't mean you have to call them through a personality disorder. And yes, I've been called that, but it's most justly for picking fun at me. Second of all, what does antisocial mean? Antisocial does not mean not social. Rather, and that's the biggest misconception that an antisocial person receives. Antisocial personality disorder, also known as ASPD, is characterized by disregard for people, being aggressive towards any other living thing that exists. Again, it doesn't mean not social. Antisocial people are reclusive and hostile to society. And this is a mental health disorder. It shouldn't be made fun of. So there are times when maybe even one of you has been called shy simply just by being quiet, or arrogant, or aloof for being like here and then not doing anything at all, just existing in the moment. According to in an article released in Atlantic Monthly, author Jonathan Roth suggested that these perceptions result from failure of extroverts to understand introverted traits. Extroverts have little or no grasp of introversion, he suggests, though I kind of disagree with him here. They assume that company, especially their own, is always welcome. They cannot imagine why someone would want to be alone. Indeed, they have often taken umbrage at the suggestion. As often as I have tried to explain the matter to extroverts, I have never sensed that any of them really understood. Extroverts and introverts, there is no superiority. It's not a social class. All of them should strive to understand each other. And believe it or not, there are famous people who are introverts. I mean, Michael Jordan, Martin Luther King Jr., and Taylor Swift. Sure, they may be great. They are great people, but just because they've done something like this doesn't mean they're extroverted. Rather, it's something that's part of their identity. That's part of their personality. And then there's no pure personality. According to psychiatrist Carl Jung, who introduced the term into psychology, there is no such thing as a pure introvert or extrovert. Such a person would be in the lunatic asylum, he famously said. Everyone lands somewhere in the middle, here, where this red dot is. And then there's depression. All of us have felt it. It's normal. And yes, it's serious. And it shouldn't be joked about, just like antisocial personality disorder. One time during recess, when I was waiting for my friends who were in the line, I was with another friend on the table, waiting for everyone. And then she randomly stood up and said, "I'm not talking to you. You're depressed," and left to follow the line. It didn't bother me, but she left me alone. And do you see the problem here? She called me depressed just for being quiet. As simple as that. That's a straight punch to the gut. Well, at least not to me, because it didn't really bother me. Depression is a long-term mental health condition that should be addressed before making assumptions. The major misconception, or at least why people call it introverts as depressed, is because people often compare extroverted traits to introverted ones. And then similarities. All of us have a way of being on our own, whether it's with other people or just on our own. And believe me, I like being on my own. But that doesn't mean I'm not social. An introvert can be as talkative as an extrovert. I like socializing and making deep connections with others. And sure, this all sounds cool and all. And then how do you know what you are? Like, I know what you are. Not like that. It took me a while to find out. But if you'd like to have like a direct answer, but also creative one, then I'd recommend that you take the Myers-Briggs personality test, an online quiz that you can take to find out what personality you are based on a spectrum of 16 personalities. Oops. If you want tips from me as an introvert, I can start off with taking it slow. Personality is a very complex topic, and there is no rush to wanting to know it. And it's okay. That's okay. Learning is not easy. It's about trial and error. However, here in personality, it's just about being patient. Sure, an extrovert may want to be, too much social stimuli can be good for an extrovert, but at the same time, it can be bad. Why? Because extroverts have limits too. They're not an infinite source of social battery. They too are human, and they need space. And then, as an introvert, it can be bad. I mean, last month I attended two parties within 1 week. It sounds cool, but for me it isn't. On the second party I went to, my social battery was starting to get low, and I had to return to the deepest corner in the room just to look at my phone and the tomfoolery I have in it, as a way to like calm down from everything that was happening. A person whom I've been talking to for a large major part of the event came up to me and asked me, "Why are you down here?" And he insisted that I go up. I told him that no thank you, yet he kept pushing me towards getting back into the dance floor to do the silly. And guess what he did? He tugged me. He pulled my arm to get me in there, and I had to put it down. No, I did not put him down. But I had to tell him that I'm not ready. I cannot keep going. Yet he kept insisting. He didn't understand me, but I can't blame him. And then he just chose to return to the dance floor. As I just said, personality is a very complex topic, and by understanding it, you can learn the preferences of others and even yourself. There is one thing I can say. Knowing your personality can be a great tool in life. Outgoing or reserved, there is no superiority. Both should strive to know each other, and by better understanding your personality, traits, and preferences, you can use it as a great tool in life. Thank you.